what do you say to many Muslims around the world who will consider you to be a traitor, who will say that you are basically supporting the enemy? Can't you see Israel is killing so many Palestinians? How could you not support the resistance? How are you supporting apartheid? Why are you supporting genocide? Aren't you seeing what's happening in Gaza? Aren't you seeing all the crimes committed by the Zionist state? How do you respond to all of that? Yes,
Oh
sorry.
my God, this is all like the Al Jazeera narrative about anyone and anything who speaks about this war. Look, of course, war is very ugly. It's very, very ugly. I don't say that I don't care for the people in Gaza who are paying a very, very heavy price for this war. I don't say that I'm fine with the images of children under the rubble. No, no one is actually. Everyone, I mean, should feel bad about this. And I would tell you, even my Israeli friends feel bad about this and they disagree with this. But the question here is why the people in Gaza right now are being killed? Is it because of the direct action of the Israeli military? Or is it because Hamas is using them as human shields? And Hamas has put them in this situation. And Hamas is using their blood as fuel for their lies. This is the thing. Hamas is the one who is completely responsible, is the organization who is completely responsible for the suffering of the Palestinian people right now in this war. Hamas, like rats, they did what they did on October 7th. They killed the Israeli civilians and then ran and hid in tunnels and left the Palestinian people almost naked to this war, without shelters, without anything. If Hamas militants are really, I mean, what they say they are, like the noble fighters, freedom fighters, and resistance fighters, and all this nonsense they are saying about themselves, they should have put the Palestinian people in the tunnels and fought the war that they started, that no one else started. Actually, Israel did not start this war. On October 6th, actually, not on October 6th, 2 days before October 7 happened, Israel was negotiating with Saudi Arabia on making a peace treaty on normalization. And this peace treaty and normalization included a better future, or discussions about a better future for the people in Gaza. The same things that happened with the United Arab Emirates before that. So when you think about it, who is guilty here? It's not Israel. It's 100% Hamas. It's the fault of Hamas and the crime of Hamas. And the blood, and actually it's go back and see the statements of the leaders of Hamas. You will be shocked by how they are so proud that they caused this suffering to the people of Gaza. So we need to, I mean, to look in a different way. I mean, unfortunately, the media machine behind Hamas and Hezbollah now, and I mean, Al Jazeera, Qatar, and all these terrorist sponsor states are so powerful that they were able to twist the narrative, not only among the Arab audience or among us in the Middle East, but even in the Western media, even in multilateral organizations and international organizations like the United Nations, the International Court of Justice, and so on. So it's crazy why Israel does not have a proper media machine. I wouldn't say as strong as what the terrorists are having, but a proper media machine to tell this to the world, that this war is not the fault of Israel. Actually, Israel is bringing terrorists to justice, and it should be helped in this task by all the international community and by Arab states as well. I don't know why Arab states don't understand that Israel is fighting this war for a better Middle East. All these militia and proxies, including Hamas, by the way, including the Muslim Brotherhood and the Salafists, they are not fighting only against Israel. They are also fighting against us. They are hurting us. The Houthis, a few months ago, they were firing rockets on Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. They are now blocking the Red Sea and causing a terrible economic problem, like doubling the economic problem on Egypt. And it's, I mean, they are harming all of us. It's not only Israel. The target is not only Israel, but they are harming all of us, and they should be appropriately fought against. I mean,
Yeah. Do you think the a huge part of the Islamic world and also the Western world is like maybe people who are considered progressives or leftists or whatever they want to call them in the Western world? They're basically using the Palestinian cause to spend the Palestinian people for their revolutionary fetish or for their whatever cause that. I mean, it seems like everybody except the Palestinians outside of everybody outside of Palestine is benefiting some way from the Palestinian cause. They're basically spending the Palestinian blood and tears for their own self-interest of whatever movement they're in. And the Palestinian people are being sold this false hope of a victory of either in this life or in the afterlife. And this false hope they have managed to, like the Arab world and the Islamic Republic of Iran and all these leftist Westerners have somehow managed to keep Palestinian people in this ideological bubble, giving them this false hope to keep fighting. They get to feel like revolutionaries, but it's the Palestinian people who are just spending the blood while they get to stay in safety, enjoy feeling like they're standing up to power, standing up to evil, but not paying any price for it, but just using the feeling like victims by making the Palestinian people be the victims, but they get to enjoy feeling like enjoy participating in the victimhood narrative by proxy. Do you think like that's the Palestinian cause has basically made the Palestinian people the main victims? Like it's called the Palestinian cause, but I feel like it has been it has been a curse upon the Palestinian people. But what do you think
I
about
love
this?
the way you're putting it, Armin. But actually, let me explain to you and the audience how I view this conflict, and it very much, I mean, can very much explain your point. The things that, if you look at the Israeli Palestinian conflict, it started only as a territorial conflict, as a conflict over a piece of land between two parties. One party is Israel, and the other party are the Arabs who lived in this area at that time. And they had a fight over the territory, similar, for example, to the territorial conflict we're seeing in Cyprus, not very far away from where Gaza and Palestinian territories and Israel is. So it's mainly a fight over a piece of land. Then, when Gamal Abdel Nasser in Egypt came in power in the 1950s and the 1960s, Arabs started to build what was known at that time the Pan-Arabism ideology, the national Arabism or Arab nationalism, which means that all Arabs are one thing against this one enemy, which they call the West. It was not at that time Israel, actually. It started as we are united against the enemy that is called the West, the Western civilization that comes with new values that, according to them, are strange to our culture, and they are trying to impose these values on us. Which, of course, these are lies. I mean, none of this is true. But this is how they sold Arab nationalism to the Arab public. And then Israel was formed in 1948, was established. Thus, they found a great nail to hang all their problems in, and to also direct the Arab nationalist movement towards, and or as a common enemy. I mean, as so it's a common enemy. Here we have Israel in the region. It's a common enemy. Let's fight against it as Arab nationalist groups. But the thing is that, and they started to say things like, all the Jewish people in all Arab countries should be mistreated, should be expelled from Arab countries because their loyalty is now to Israel. And they even started to discriminate against the Jewish people in Arab countries and pushed all of them to go to Israel. And then this polarization happened. Arabs united in one side, trying to fight this new enemy that appeared in the region on the other side, which actually, when you think about it, more than 60% of the Jewish population in Israel today come from Arab origins. They used to live in Arab countries before they were Arabs. before they moved to Israel, before they were pushed and forced to move to Israel. So in that sense, actually, Israel is an indigenous piece of the Middle East, of the Arab culture, of the Arab societies. But of course, for the reasons they had at that time to enhance this idea of Arab nationalism and enhance the idea that Israel is an enemy, they kept intensifying this work, this war between Arabs and Israelis, that Arab is a something and Israelis is a different thing. And then eventually the territorial conflict got a very thick layer upon it, which is an Arab-Israeli conflict. And then upon this thick layer, by the 1980s, 1990s, the political Islamist movements in Arab countries, like the Muslim Brotherhood, for example, they were gaining momentum at that time because of the religious rhetoric that President Sadat and then President Mubarak started to use to control the general public. They really, I mean, I remember at that time, people were telling us this was the time when, imams and sheikhs would appear on TV like superstars. People stop them in the street and take their autographs and want, to say that I made this person. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, how the state itself manipulated the minds using religion. So the radical Islamists and political Islamists, the Muslim Brotherhood in particular here, they capitalized on this momentum, and they wanted to gain the public sympathy as well and gain support among the general public. And of course, the most favorite topic they can capitalize on is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So they represented themselves at that time as representatives of the Muslims who are fighting against Israel. And they started to dig deep at that time, including, by the way, not only political Islamists, but also institutions like Al-Azhar in Egypt, which is a formal Islamic institution and that claims to be moderate, but unfortunately it's not. It dug deep into holy texts to bring in the holy texts that existed at the time when the Jewish tribes were fighting against the Muslim tribes in the early days of Islam, and bring them to the forefront. Things like, all Muslims have to fight all Jews. If Muslims kill the Jews, the Messiah will appear at the end. And we are in a constant holy war against the Jewish people, and we have to kill them and all this stuff. So they dug deep and brought up these issues. And actually, among this was the purse of the slogan, Khaybar, Khaybar, Ya Yahud, Jaysh Muhammad Sawfa Yaud, which is, oh Khaybar, oh Jewish people, like it was in Khaybar, which was a tribe at the time of the Prophet, a Jewish tribe that was actually annihilated at the time of the Prophet by the Muslims. It was like a real genocide at that time. So they say, like, what happened to Khaybar at that time, we will do the same to you now as Muslims. So this was the time when this slogan was born. And they started, and all of a sudden, the conflict that started as a territorial conflict and then became an Arab-Israeli conflict, now it has become a Muslim-Jewish conflict. What we are seeing, I believe, actually, by the signing of the Abraham Accords in the 2020. This layer of Arab-Israeli conflict has dissolved somehow. I would say semi-dissolved. It's not as sick as it was anymore, because now Arabs and Israelis have diplomatic relations, have dialogues, have ups and downs. It's not as stiff as it was in the early days of Arab-Israeli conflict. But the biggest problem right now actually is the Muslim-Jewish layer of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Because you would see people, for example, in Southeast Asia, in countries like Malaysia, Pakistan, Indonesia, who hate Israel so much. Although geographically they are very distant from Israel, they have never been involved in wars with Israel in any way. But why they hate Israel? Why they want to fight against Israel? Because they believe that Islam told them to do so. And they are doing it from their perception that this is a Muslim-Jewish conflict. And I believe If we really, really want to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we have to focus on this part, to focus on highlighting that it's not a Muslim-Jewish conflict. It's not. It's not at all. It's a territorial conflict over a piece of land. Let's take it back to its actual size. This is what should be the case.